This video is sponsored by Warby Parker. If at any point you're like, wow, I really like Sara's glasses, where did she get them? Well, check out the link in the description below. Think about a company that releases a laptop that is thicker, chunkier than its predecessor. Well, that is what happened with the 2021 MacBook Pro in comparison to the 2016 MacBook Pro, which was trash. It's hard to do that seriously, but this video is about Jony Ive, the legendary Apple designer, officially parting ways from the company after 30 years, so around 27 years working full-time and 3 years under a $100 million contract under his new design firm called LoveFrom. And I'm gonna kind of go out on a limb here and say that this is actually a good thing for Apple. When I first heard this news about Jony Ive, my first impression was, oh, well, the designer of the Magic Mouse and, well, the terrible 2016 MacBook Pro that ruined my life is officially done with Apple? Well, hey, he lost his touch. Good riddance. And then also with the release of the new MacBook Air, it's so pretty, review is coming soon. You know, I realized, wow, we really are entering another era of boxy design with Apple, and I truly love it. I love it so much. Jony would not approve of this. He would need more curve. He wouldn't approve of this. I was kind of ready to make a Jony Ive roast video, I'm gonna be honest, but then I found this guy, okay? So this is the Design by Apple in California coffee table book. Now this came out in 2016. It is gorgeous. Jony Ive wrote the foreword. It has these big, beautiful pictures of all of the products in the past few decades. I mean, it's gorgeous. A lot of hypebeast people who bought this and kept it in perfect condition, now they're selling it for like $2,000, $3,000. I got this for like 200 bucks. But I actually look at this and use it. As you can see, it's been with me on many moves, so I don't think I'll be able to resell it, but I don't want to. Anyways, it just reminded me of all of the amazing products that Jony and his team at Apple have designed, even though, yeah, they weren't perfect. But man, it just made me nostalgic. Nostalgic for the iPod. I actually brought the only iPod with me that I have left. Look at this guy. 8 gigs. Very scratched up. I would get all of the working out done with this guy. Okay, let's rewind to 2018. This was my first time at an Apple event as a YouTuber, and I was prepping to film. They had just cleared the area at Steve Jobs Theater, so it was completely empty. It was crazy. And I found myself only 10 feet away from Jony Ive himself. And I was just completely starstruck. I literally froze up. At that same event, I was able to ask Tim Cook for a selfie. I was like, hey, Tim Cook, got a selfie. But I don't know, something about Ive, I feel like he has this aura around him, you know, especially for nerds like me. You know, I have such a tremendous respect for his work. So before we get into the flops, you know, let's go into Jony's history with Apple just a little bit. Jony joined Apple in 1992. His first project was working on the failed tablet, the Apple Newton. They were a little ahead of their time on the tablet game. But then Steve Jobs rejoined Apple in 1997, and Jony and Steve became soulmates, according to the writer Walter Isaacson. They designed amazing products like the iPod, iPhone, Apple Watch, iMac, MacBook, all the things. And then Jony, of course, voiced those legendary commercials. After researching Jony, and he doesn't do a lot of interviews, I've distilled some of his design principles into, you know, a few bullet points. It is important to make a design recognizable, to where that product doesn't have to have the brand name right on the front of it, but you know who it's from. How do you set apart an Apple iPhone or a MacBook in the sea of just ubiquitous rectangles that are phones and laptops? And well, unfortunately for the MacBook and the iPhone, that now means that they have a notch. Annoying in the beginning, but honestly something that you get used to, okay? For the iPod, it was the wheel and the iconic white headphones from those really cool silhouette commercials. Number 2, you have to have an optimistic view of the future in order to be creative. And you know, that makes sense if it's your job to create tools that actually make the future better, right? One of Jony's favorite things about Steve was that he emphasized the importance of making products beautiful, making things with care, that the person in interacting with the product will feel that. They'll feel like, oh, you took your time, you actually care about how this functions, you care about it looking beautiful. The product that you make is intentional. It's a worthwhile contribution to the world. You know, that's in line with something that you do hear often with Apple products. Sometimes they miss the mark, but they just work, right? Some things don't just work, but you know. Number 3, and this one I think is my favorite, design is not inevitable. It is not obvious. Back in the day when they were designing an iPhone in the sea of just Blackberries with physical keyboards, it wasn't obvious to just put a huge screen on the phone, to make it a touch screen. It was a super crazy idea that almost just didn't work all the way up until the end when they finally made it work, right? It wasn't inevitable, it wasn't just gonna happen, it wasn't obvious at that time, even though it's just everywhere nowadays, right? AirPods, another great example. If you remember all of the wireless earphones before then, all of them had a cable connecting the two because, hey, well, if one drops, you don't want it to drop on the ground, right? Everyone was doing the same thing until AirPods came along, and holy smokes, everyone is now an AirPods copier. And then finally, number 4, the most obvious theme in Jony and Apple's design is, well, minimalism. Designing only what is needed, which sometimes Apple can take a little too far. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit, but before we hop into learning more about LoveFrom, his really fancy design firm, just a quick thank you to our sponsor, Warby Parker. These are Warby Parker. You guys know I love their frames. These are Warby Parker frames right here. And I also have 5 new glasses to try on today from their home try-on kit. So this is where you can try 5 frames for 5 days for free. You can decide which ones look good on your person and then send them back in to get your prescription in, or just send back the ones that you don't like. I will say, I was a little adventurous with this one, okay? There are some styles that I don't usually go for. Okay, so I'm gonna get these unboxed and we'll try them on, but hey, y'all know the drill. Warby Parker is committed to exceptional vision care both online and in stores. They offer eyeglasses, sunglasses, eye exams, and contact lenses. They're affordable too. Glasses start at only $95, including prescription lenses. Sunglasses, progressives, and blue light lenses are also available. If all companies gave you literature like this, oh, how exciting. I appreciate good design, you know? All right, moment of truth. Here we go. These remind me of that girl who used to be the J. Crew designer. Let's see if I can channel her creativity. Here we go. Do I look more smart? Okay, these are cute. I feel like they blend into my person a little bit too much.
I like that one.
Like them? Oh, those are cute. Scared about these. I'm scared showing these. Cute. Hey, this is why they have the home try-on kit. You can figure out which ones match your personality. You know, do they fit properly? Always got to do a vibe check with glasses. Oh, those were so cute. Warby Parker has amazing customer service from the beginning. They have a really cool quiz that you can take, figure out, hey, maybe the style that you like, also the size of your face, and they suggest frames. The home try-on kit ships for free, and they even include a free prepaid label where you can send your glasses back. So if you're curious, try Warby Parker's free home try-on program where you can try out 5 pairs of glasses for free at home. Check out the link in the description below, or you can go to Warby Parker/Sara Dietschy. That is me. Back to the video, and also let me know which glasses were your favorite. I'm gonna put some prescriptions in there. Okay, so let's shift gears for a moment and talk about Jony Ive's new design firm named LoveFrom that was formed in 2019. The 3-year agreement LoveFrom had with Apple is now over, right? But the other 2 big companies they work with are Airbnb and Ferrari. Kind of random, I feel like. They also do what I've described as for the love projects, like designing an urban garden system or partnering with Prince Charles on the Terra Carta Design Lab. This is a program that brings students in architecture, design, and engineering together to make small designs with big impact for a more sustainable future. A lot of buzzword language there. But it seems super cool. And some projects that also come directly from the firm themselves, like their very first project, the LoveFrom serif font that can be found on their website. Their website's cool. And I think their website is a testament on how good design can often just be simple, right? They say that climate change is at the center of the projects that they want to work on. Now, hey, I'm not sure how like the nomadism encouraged by Airbnb and well, Ferrari are a part of a more sustainable future, but hey, I really look forward to that hybrid Ferrari that's gonna come out, maybe some 40 mpg mileage. So where did things go wrong? Why didn't Apple renew their contract with Jony's firm, LoveFrom? So it seems like Jony's best products were when he was working with Steve Jobs. Ive was top dog at Apple then because Jobs really cared about design and gave Ive full authority even over engineering when it came to product design. Tim Cook, on the other hand, isn't really a product-focused CEO like Steve was. So maybe some of these flops that we're about to share could maybe land on like both Cook and Ive. Do you think Jobs would have stopped Jony Ive if he was like, here is the 2016 MacBook Pro. It's super thin, but super not functional. Okay, so some of the biggest flops. The Magic Mouse that you can't use while it's charging. I am just amazed that they still have not revamped this design. The Trash Can Mac Pro, which what more can you say? That just became a joke. This guy. I saved it on this page for this moment. It looked like a trash can, looked very well designed, but wasn't super functional. And let's not forget about the first Apple Pencil. So when we finally got an Apple Pencil, there wasn't a button on it for extra functionality to quickly change over to an eraser, you know? And most importantly, you had to charge it kind of in a similar way to the Magic Mouse. It was super goofy, you plugged it back into the iPad. It looks so silly. And it wasn't functional. And the grand finale, the nail in the coffin, the culmination of everything that went wrong with Apple in this past decade, the 2016 MacBook Pro, the glitchy touch bar, that was just a gimmick. The nightmare that was the butterfly keyboard. They removed all the ports and just replaced them with USB-C, leading what we now call Donglegate. Major cooling issues because the laptop was just too thin. Quality control issues with the display. In these designs, Jony Ive just took minimalism too far and actually went against that balance that makes Apple, the balance of functionality and design. He even said in an interview,
and so I think a beautiful product that doesn't work very well is ugly.
The beauty is that it works and not the appearance. Jony Ive said that, and then he just didn't really follow it. I recently watched the documentary that Logic released in tandem with his new album, and it's super cool. It's super cool to see the behind the scenes of making the album in I think only like 10 or 12 days, and at one point it literally looks like an Apple commercial. They're actually physically using a MacBook to create a cool sound, recording a ton of stuff with the iPhone. He's writing notes in his Apple Notes and all this stuff, and it's super cool. But what is so funny and tragic is they're trying to push themselves creatively, right? They're on a deadline. And one of the points in the video is Logic just screaming at his MacBook Pro. And it's a touch bar MacBook. It's not the newer MacBooks. It's a MacBook from that era where design trumped functionality.
Fuck, man, I didn't do shit. I didn't change shit. I didn't touch shit. What the fuck is even happening? Ugh. I hate when fucking technology just,
And I just thought that it was so funny that they captured that so perfectly in this documentary because the frustration that he feels in that moment, I have felt so many times with products that just get in the way. But all I'm saying is just thank goodness that Apple actually is going in a new direction with Apple Silicon, with their own chips. I really don't think it is the same Apple of the 2016 MacBook Pro, of the pain from creatives like Logic. So like I mentioned earlier, the notch that we now see in Apple's latest products, in the MacBooks and the iPhones, it helps the product stand out as Apple, which you know what, is kind of ugly. But that's the key point. It doesn't actually hinder functionality, but the Magic Mouse, the Apple Pencil, the 2016 MacBook Pro, the Trash Can Mac Pro are just incredible examples of sacrificing functionality for aesthetics, which goes against all of those design philosophies of what made Jony Ive so great. Jony leaving, you know, I think can be a good thing. Apple is truly turning a new page. It's a new era. I think the latest MacBook Pro and MacBook Air show that. The laptops match the harder edges of the latest iPhones, and they actually made the new MacBook Pro thicker. Do you think Jony Ive, like, he was there when they were designing that, but I bet he was pushing back on like, no, take away some of the ports, make it thinner, right? This right here, It has not been a problem for me that this device is a little bit thicker so I could use this HDMI right here. They're finally prioritizing functionality once again, but not sacrificing the design, at least I don't think. And they're starting at a better base now because, hey, they have their own chips. They have the M1, they have the M2. They're more power efficient, more optimized. And so maybe one day, the 16-inch M1 Max MacBook Pro can actually be as thin as that 2016 MacBook Pro. So look, when Jony's contract was up with Apple, they were probably like, hey, we got this. Jony set an amazing design precedent over the years. Let's pass the baton to someone new. They probably needed those 3 years with the contract to train up those new designers to replace that hole that Jony left. And also the hole that was left by the 4 really talented Apple designers that left with Jony. I imagine that hurt. And well, it also saves Apple $100 million. And while Jony no longer has to worry about a non-compete agreement, can you imagine him designing a phone for another company? What does a Samsung Jony Ive collab look like? So you can let me know in the comments, what do you think a post Jony Ive Apple is? I think it's a more practical Apple. It's the Apple that gives us ports, gives us mouse functionality on the iPad, finally, gosh, come on. But my only concern is, does Apple have truly forward-thinking designers like Jony Ive was that can actually push the envelope again? Making a car or making a VR headset is no joke. And other companies, well, have a huge head start. But in the words of my guy Drake, I had to do it. It's not about who does it first, but it's about who does it right. And while Apple is notorious for that, for doing it in their Apple way and not necessarily always being the first. So I'll be reading your comments. Let me know if you like this video. Hit that subscribe button down below for new videos every single week. And most importantly, check out my link to Warby Parker. Check out these sick frames that they have online, and you can try out their really cool home try-on kit. Until next time, y'all, stay peachy. Okay, bye.